So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a bit of a funny concept. So today we're talking about Tenpai, I suppose. So Tenpai has this fairly powerful field spell called Sangen Summoning. And what's Sangen Summoning? Well, the key effect that we're worried about here, because it has a lot of text, honestly, is during your main phase 1, specifically the main phase 1 and not main phase 2, I guess, fire dragon monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And of course, a lot of things count as activated effects. Just for example, if I were to activate, well, Raigeki wouldn't work. Let's say Torrential Tribute. Let's say I control, I don't know, Kuribo, and my opponent normal summons Chundra. If I activate Torrential Tribute, only my Kuribo will be destroyed, right? But there is an idea with traps that allows us to, well, I mean, this will be a bit goofy, but it'll allow us to kind of play around the Sangen Summoning. So what if instead we had a Solemn Strike? So with Solemn Strike, right? Let's see, is this what we're looking for? No, I guess we're looking for a Solemn Judgment, I guess. But yeah, I guess this would still make sense to do somewhat. So Solemn Judgment doesn't negate normal summons, but Solemn Judgment does. So let's assume our opponent activates Sangen Summoning, and then they attempt to normal summon maybe a Pydra. We can Solemn Judgment the Pydra. So Sangen Summoning will not protect the summon of that Pydra because the Pydra is not being controlled by our opponent, and control simply means it's a monster on your field. I guess that's one way to phrase it, right? But Solemn Judgment negated its summon, therefore it's not even on the field. So if it's not on the field, it can't be protected by the Sangen Summoning, and this technically applies with a variety of other cards as well. So to play around Sangen Summoning, like if we're just focusing on Sangen Summoning, we're not going to even bother talking about like Forbidden Droplet, Raigeki, Infinite Impermanence, all of those cards. Just forget about it. Today we're just playing around specifically the type of effect that's on Sangen Summoning. As well as, I guess, this will also play around, to an extent, the Gimmick Puppet field spell as well. The Mansion of Dreadful Dulse has this similar effect rate here. Cannot be destroyed by battle and are unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters except the XYZ monsters. I guess this would work with traps as well. But if we have a monster that negates a summon, that should work against Mansion of the Dreadful Dulse and bypass the protection. So we have Saravis. If I could figure out how to spell it. Is it like this at all? Nope. Saravis, maybe? There we go. So if we could summon out Saravis, this has the effect of when wrong effect. When your opponent would special summon a monster or monster's quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, negate the special summon. If you do, banish that monster or monsters. So this is pretty disgusting against like Pendulum to an extent. So if you were to Pendulum summon against Saravis, you bet your sweet ass that Saravis can banish every single guy you Pendulum summoned. That's a bit wild, but there's also the fact that there's no once per turn on any of the effects on this card, so that's cool, I guess. So if we have, for example, the effect to, well, not the effect, if we use Chundra plus Pydra to make, what's his face? The level 7 guy, what was his name, like Bident? Regian or something? If you try to make him, we can negate his summon, and then Sangen Summoning doesn't really do anything about that, and that's gone. And it's also not going to be summoned properly, so that's a play, right? Against Gimmick Puppet, we can do this against the rank 8 instead. So we have that play. And then what else do we have? So if we were playing Magispector, I guess that this is pretty strong. even if we are not playing Secret Village, but I mean, why wouldn't you play Secret Village if you're going to be facing off against Tenpai, you know? They're fairly weak without their spells, but we're going to assume we won't have to worry about that, the non-engine. But alright, with the Magispector cards, we have Magispector Tempest, which has the effect of when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, tribute one when spellcaster, monster, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So utilizing this effect, we can just simply negate whatever. This specifically doesn't work on cards like Genroku and I guess the Kaiman, right? So to be clear, this will only be able to negate inherent summons. So if we essentially use Sengen Kaiman's effect to special summon, or Genroku's effect to special summon itself, or even Genroku's effect to special summon another guy, we won't be able to Magispector Tempest or even Solemn Judgment them. So to put it in perspective, I guess one way, right? Solemn Judgment negates a summon, but does not negate effects to summon. So if a monster or a spell trap effect were to summon a guy as part of its effect, when the chain resolves, the guy is already summoned. So there's essentially a missed timing for Solemn Judgment. We can think of it that way, right? So that's kind of how that works, I guess. And in that regard, I think we still have a few other guys that kind of work, right? I guess Rukalos doesn't work as well, but it's still somewhat useful. So Rukalos' effect specifically states that when your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that special summons a monster, quick effect, you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So that works a little bit different. So what this does is essentially, if you were to activate any of the effects I said like earlier, like something like a branded fusion, this negates effects that summon guys. So you can just think of this as like, I guess, a scuffed monster negate or a scuffed spell trap negate. So that's kind of how this works instead, right? I guess Solemn Strike does also kind of work, but it doesn't work on the normal summon, which makes this a little bit worse than, I guess, the Solemn Judgment by a little bit. The monster negate effect's actually not that bad. You could Solemn Strike, I guess, like a Chandra's effect in hand, but I think that's still way lower value than like Solemn Judgmenting the Synchro 7. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and hopefully this helped you guys understand Solemn Judgment a little bit more. But just one more thing, actually, just to throw this out there. There's some really jank rulings out there. So actually, yeah, there was one more ruling I forgot about. So if we have, for example, I guess we can say Saravis. Saravis will work. Or there is another card that actually negates summons, and that would be this, I believe, right? The Evil Sword. Which one was it, Lars? No, it was Lagia. So Lagia also has the effect to negate summons, so whatever. So let's say I have let's go with Chundra plus Hydra, and I try to make a Synchro 7, and my opponent activates either Saravis or Evils or Lagia in an attempt to negate the summon. I can actually chain Gamma to one of these two guys. That doesn't matter which one you're activating, but yeah, you could chain something like a Gamma, and it'll appear in the simulator at least that your guy is actually on the field, so it looks a little bit more silly. But if I chain Gamma, I can do so because I actually don't control any monsters yet, because the monster is in the process of being summoned. Technically, it's not summoned yet, right? So it'll be like a Gamma that you can activate despite controlling monsters, but you technically do not control monsters, which is kind of jank, right? So simply put, chain one, Saravis, chain 2, Gamma to negate the Saravis. And is this why Gamma was limited? Probably not, but you know, that this is a bit of a funny ruling to know. So technically, you could play around this if you're being extra careful. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.